Continuing with the supply side of the firm, essentially any production is a result of input, output. In this box is a production process. Essentially you take inputs, some of them are variable and some are fixed. Variable inputs change with the production level. If you don't produce, you don't have to use it. Labor, energy, raw material, if you don't produce it, you don't have to use it. Fixed inputs are there whether you produce 0 or zillion. They're there, like your building, your machinery that has been installed, etc. These are sort of different types of inputs that any production process will apply. Fixed inputs create the upper cap on production, meaning that the size of the machine or the speed of the machine or a factory floor will put the upper limit as to how many units can be produced. You can produce anything less, but nothing beyond the capacity of a production process. Now, since fixed inputs are there whether we produce or not, we don't bother with it. What is important from a managerial standpoint is the variable inputs, and therefore let's create a model that depicts that relationship. See, here we have variable input, most important of which is labor. The same model can be applied to energy and raw material, but labor is the most important variable input, and here is output. So L and Q, input, output. This is not the supply and demand model. This is input-output model. When you use 0 labor, production is 0. When you add units of labor, production rises. But as you add more labor, the change in production gets smaller and smaller. Let's say the first unit contributed 10, the second one 12, but then now going from the second to third unit, now you're down to 8 additional units. Going to fourth unit of labor, perhaps adds another 3, and going to fifth units of labor adds nothing more than the previous. Going to the sixth unit of labor, actually this individual gets in the way of others and production is falling. You definitely go to 7, production falls even perhaps faster because they get in the way of other people. So if I connect these points, I end up with production function. Here production is shooting up. From here to here is rising, but the rate of increase is falling. At this point there is no change in the slope, and therefore there's no change between 4 and 5 units. There's no change in the production. Output remains the total of, here is 22, 30 and 33 altogether. And if you add more workers to the production, in fact your production will fall, and therefore you definitely will not go beyond this level of hiring workers. Absolutely is going to affect your production level. This is output as a function of labor and some fixed resources. So these are fixed inputs. I put a bar to suggest that it's not changing, and this is variable input. This phenomenon, the fact that as you add workers or variable inputs mixed with fixed inputs, contributes to the output at the diminishing rate, meaning that this rate of change in output eventually shrinks until it actually becomes no change, meaning 0 change, and beyond that negative, is the basis of very commonly known, an important principle in economics. It's called the law of diminishing returns. Without this principle in effect, a manager will never know when to stop hiring any resource. They will indefinitely continue to produce when they're actually harmful, higher resources of one type or the other, to the point that in fact is harmful to the production. So a typical manager will add variable resources as long as they are contributing positively to the output, even though at a certain portion this growth is declining. Certainly a reasonable, rational manager will not hire resources beyond somewhere in here that in fact is going to harm the output.